Miami's hot, 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 hot fire. Miami's hot, 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 hot fire. Hello, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner, and we are back for another review for the Real Housewives of Miami. And this is season 7. This is episode 3, and let me figure out what the name of the episode is for today. But child, this is gonna be a rant. I'm about to warn you ahead of time. There's definitely going to be a rant here. Definitely going to be a rant. Y'all already know, especially if you saw the episode, child, you already know why there was going to be a rant. Let me get the episode together, the name, and we're going to get right into the things. And we're not going to go in order. No need for all that. Because your girl's upset. Your girl's upset. You already know why. Let's get the episode name. Worst wedding ever. And it was. Okay. So, before we get into it, I want to make it where this is somewhat a watchable video. Let's get the other people who are not really the forefront of things out the way. Because you already know. Let's be real quick. Gertie, stand back here. I got you. I'm in shape. Okay. and I got some hands. I got you. You stay back here. I got you. Cause I was windmilling while I was watching this episode. I was windmilling the screen watching this episode. And the microaggressions of this white woman, Julia. This could be her last season. I'm so done with her. After she did what she did, I am done with her. That was the most disgusting, nasty behavior I have ever seen. It easily was disgusting, nasty. Now, could Gertie have handled it slightly differently? I got some thoughts on that. And Kiki, girl, you kind of disappointed me this episode. I am not going to hold you. You kind of disappointed me. You don't let someone dim your light. Okay? I don't care if the majority is saying I'm acting a certain way. Okay, if you don't like it, you don't like it. But it's clear to me that they're on a mission to ice out Gertie. That is what it is. That is clear as mud. And child, the way I said I was going to start with a lesser story first, and I didn't do that. Because I'm heated. I am so heated. Okay, but let's get the other people out of the way so I can really go in the way I want to go in. And honestly, the way I want to go in, it's not appropriate for YouTube. So we're going to... Let's talk about the others and get that out the way. Okay, so Adriana was not much on this episode at all. She basically was really on the episode at the beginning with her boyfriend. And the more I look at the boyfriend, the more I'm like, they are so awkward. It's so awkward. But I also kind of see the comedy of it, so I'm not mad at it. Adriana stay the same, do not change. And then the only other time we seen Adriana, which was kind of foreshadowing what's happening, and Adriana foreshadowed it properly. And the way Adriana be correct about these things, and the ladies don't like it, but she be right. And basically, Adriana meets up with Julia, and she basically mentions how hurt she was at the fact that she didn't share that her best friend, Julia, and I'm air quoting it because she's no one's friend, clearly, basically did not give her the news about the adoption first before she told everyone else. By everyone else, she mean the rest of the girls, and then before it went to everyone else. And which is why, so honestly, even this and how she told Adriana and the girls before she told everyone else, and the fact that she basically made Gertie get back of the line even more, makes me feel even more away. And I don't know what Julia thought she did hear, thought it was going to make sense, but was like, girl, all your paragraphs on social media because of your backlash of your behavior, I don't know where, in what world did you think this was going to work out to your favor, what you did here. You were wrong. You weren't even kind of wrong. You were dead wrong. But I know I'm going to keep going. Bear with me, guys. Please bear with me. So Adriana, though, is upset that she, and so she kind of took a step back and hasn't really talked to Julia. Julia feels that she should have been reaching out to her. And it's like, girl. And the way Julia, even with Adriana at this moment, thinks that Adriana should be the one reaching out to her and all this, and the way she thinks Gertie should be acting differently, and she says that Gertie's very self-serving, is about her, is giving projection. You are projecting big time. And I love later on Gertie called that out that she's projecting, because it's clear as mud that she is. And even Stevie Wonder could see that. But Adriana's like, okay, I'm going to put a pin in these things. And so she basically says, hey, let me throw you a baby shower for, your congratulations to your adoption. And so that's going to happen next week. And with Adriana, she also called what's happening. She's like, Julia wants to get in with the cool kids, and so she's alienating me, and she's also alienating Gertie. She's doing it to both of them. That's literally what's happening. And that's the reason why also Adriana's taking a step back. She's like, I see what's happening here. I see the play. And so that's pretty much all that happens really with Adriana. So let's move on to Alexia and get that out of the way. So Alexia decides this episode to throw Marisol a surprise wedding celebration. And so at the very beginning, we see her, Frankie, and we love seeing Frankie. Frankie, to me, is one of the few redeeming qualities about Alexia. If it wasn't for Frankie, Alexia would not be likable at all. We all know that. And so basically, Alexia is like, yeah, I want to throw her a surprise party. And so she basically does that. That's what the event is towards the end of the episode, is the surprise party for Marisol for the wedding. Marisol and Steve. And also, too, as they're getting the event day set up with the owners at the event space that they're at, which, side note, that event space was gorgeous. It's a restaurant that mimics a yacht, even though it's not really a yacht, and then you get a view of the Miami skyline. Beautiful. Gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. I just need to call that out. But basically, Frankie recaps what happened, and he's just hurt about everything that happened. And to me, this is where, Alexia, I need to get on you. You keep going back to this man, keep on messing with this man after it's been very obvious and clear as mud of how he did Frankie, your beloved Frankie. That, to me, should be motivation enough to leave this man alone. It's one thing to be going back and forth to a toxic relationship when there's no children involved. And also in your case, your child is a special needs, child. I know he's an adult. I know that. But changes and things like that, especially since, his condition, it's not good for him. And the fact that he did it in the most sleaziest, cowardly way, and you still want to give your body to this man, I think, honestly, at this point, Alexia, you should, if what is happening is true, because now I'm even questioning it. I ain't gonna hold you. I feel like part of this, I'm like, I don't know. I feel like there's more to the story than what we know of to a certain degree, because of the fact that Frankie, everything that happened with Frankie. I feel like you want what's best for Frankie, and if you want what's best for Frankie, to me, that should be enough to leave this man alone. Easily. And every time you have the urge, I feel like you just need to have a picture of Frankie right there. So you just know, like, nope, leave him alone. Leave him alone. And the fact that she said multiple times she's leaving this divorce and then him proceeding with it up to him, giving him all the power, basically everything he wanted out of everything. And it's just kind of like, I understand you love him, but in life you can get over love. You can. You can. I'm just saying. Especially, I don't know. A love for a man versus love for my children. My love, I feel like my love for my children will always trump a man, woman, or any non, I don't know, priorities. I guess is kind of what I'm getting at with that. But other than that, that's kind of all that's going on with Alexia, minus her throwing the party. And let's move on. So we get a solo scene with Kiki, but then we also get a scene with Kiki and Gertie. So Kiki and Gertie first meet at Stretch Lab, which we have one here in Chicago. I've been wanting to check it out, and this actually kind of helped me want to possibly get it checked out because I have a lot of tightness around my hips from me running throughout the years and also from me cycling. I think it'll be a good idea for me to go and get professionally stretched. So I might do that. This thing kind of helps with that. I'm not going to hold you. But anyway. So they're going to get stretched together, and Gertie mentions and shares in this that, hey, ever since the cancer, I feel like my body isn't my body, and Kiki is aware that she's struggling with that, and so they're working through to kind of help her get herself back, and so they're going to get stretched together, and it looked like it's a good idea, so I might consider that here in the future. But anyway, so then Gertie and Kiki, they talk about what's going on really with Gertie and Julia. And Gertie, her being the passionate person she is, she's just going miles and miles per minute talking about it. But then the problem, what's kind of happening and what's occurring, and I find kind of annoying, is that Kiki is somewhat taking the side of the other women about how Gertie could be a lot. And I'm just like, but Kiki, have you not seen the rest of this group? Y'all all are a lot. It's giving something else, and I don't really like that. And I'm not a fan of it. It looks like something. I don't want to say it, but it looks like something. It does. It's like, so Marisol, Alexia, Lisa, Larsa, even Julia with her non-storyline behind can be a lot. But Gertie can't be. But they also did that same thing, though, to Nicole, Dr. Nicole, when she was on this show. So it's like it's like a step and repeat of what they're doing, but they're doing it now with Gertie because now they can do it because Gertie and Dr. Nicole are not there together, and it is showing that she's alone in this battle. She's truly alone, and so as Gertie is trying to Kiki's trying to explain the perspective of the other women, Gertie's not trying to hear it because honestly, respectfully, I wouldn't be wanting to try to hear it either. But at the same time, as she's doing this, kind of trying to explain the perspective of the other women, she is cutting Kiki off. And so Kiki is annoyed because Gertie is literally cutting her off. So she's actually in a messed up way, kind of proving the other women's point through the way of her cutting off Kiki. So that would be the only thing that I would agree on is you should have, Kiki's trying to be the voice of reason here. Let her do that. Don't cut her off. Reserve the passion for the right people. I mean, let the targets target. But that's always been Gertie's thing, though. That is one thing about Gertie that I will constructively agree on. Gertie can sometimes be teen too much. But in this situation with Julia, it's not that. And it's clear that I don't think all the women necessarily want to ice her out. I think it's really Alexia, and I think it's an Alexia and Julia thing. I think they have an alliance, and I think that's what's happening. I'm almost, if I see anything similar to this anymore, I'm going to say I know it is that, because I think Alexia now, at this point in the show, she won't do her true villain stuff ever again because she's afraid of the backlash of social media. So she's doing it through other people. So now she's doing it through Julia. She has a puppet that's Julia because Julia is a pick-me who wants to be friends with her so bad, who wants to be on the show so bad that she's doing all this through Julia. Because I don't think the Alexia and Gertie thing ever really truly got resolved 2 seasons ago or ever. I think a lot of the women left Gertie alone because of her having the cancer diagnosed last year. They left her alone. And now that she's in remission, they think, okay, we can resume. I feel like that's partially what's happening too. I think there's a lot going on here. But outside of that, let's move on to like what else happened with Kiki. We actually see that Kiki takes her daughter to the ice cream museum of ice cream. Also, we have that here in Chicago. Abby wanted to check that out. I might be checking that out soon too. I ain't gonna hold you. A lot of this episode like, oh, I should check that out at home. I need to go downtown to go to the Museum of Ice Cream because it looked cute. It looked like a fun time. So she went with her daughter and she went with her mom. So we got to meet Kiki's mom for the first time. And Kiki talks about how she is trying to rebuild her relationship with her dad. Also, very similar to Lisa. And basically, Lisa's inspiring her to really make that change even more so because of Lisa doing it, almost where it was almost too late. She almost never really got to reconcile with her dad. Because we find out this episode that Lisa's dad did indeed pass away. So that is kind of what's happening here. She's talking to her mom about it. We're learning more about Kiki's background, about how her dad just kicked her out. And some of this we already learned from like last season. And so they even show the clips from last season, her talking about it more. But now she's at the point where she is trying to make amends with her dad. And she also shares that like her dad doesn't even know anything that's going on with like her son. And her son's 18. And so there's a road to go there, but she wants to try to change that. So that's what's going on with Kiki. But then also too, Kiki, I am going to get on you because you disappointed me. I'm just going to get on you on that, but let's move on. Okay, next, let's talk about Lisa and then we'll talk about Larsa because they're kind of related. They're kind of related to each other in this episode. So first, let's go with Lisa. Lisa is not really on this episode, really, because she's back in Canada. Because again, this is when we find out that Lisa's dad did indeed pass away, and the way we found out, which kind of messed up a little bit, because Alexia was complaining about how Lisa just never reaches out to the group. They can never get a hold of her. They always have to try to call her, basically feeding the narrative that Lisa is selfish and kind of self-absorbed. Which, two things can be true. She could be that, which we've seen on the show she is, but also maybe sometimes there's a reason why she's not calling you. And unfortunately, in this case, when she FaceTimed Lisa, we found out this was that. She didn't contact you because she's back in Toronto, Canada, getting ready for her dad's funeral. So, looking back, and Lisa has guilt because she's like, I don't know if I should have went to the fashion show now because he didn't survive. I think Lisa was being very optimistic, thinking he was still going to be with her afterwards, and she actually missed his time where he was still conscious to really, get a goodbye. So there's a lot of guilt there. We see her at home. Well, I mean at home. I mean her hometown with her at her family's house getting ready, and at her dad's place it looked like, and she's going over all the things that he kept. And she realized how much her dad really cared about her, but she just never saw that in him because he was an alcoholic. So he didn't express that, unfortunately. And she also found out through other family members the fact that they did reconcile, and he finally did get to meet his grandkids, made his day and made his life. Like, basically, he kind of got the things that he needed out the way before he went on. And Jody's trying to comfort her. And I don't really have anything to say when it comes to Jody comforting her. But I will say this. I feel like as much Larsa is a villain when it comes to the show and the things she says, there's times where she's right. It's just her delivery sucks. And what she says while Lisa's gone, it's messy, it's messed up. This is why we don't like Larsa. She's a very vile woman because she just does things. She doesn't care about the timing of it. It's like she just I feel like she just has like, I don't know, Larsa to me, to a certain extent, and I'm not trying to make fun of her. I'm actually legitimately saying this. She's lacking emotional intelligence when it comes to like reading the room of things. It's like she sees it when it's other people, like if she was looking at the situations, other people, it doesn't involve her, but when it's her, she doesn't see it. And so there's a case of this happening in this episode. So later on, let's fast forward, because Larsa's not really in this episode minus the wedding celebration. And well, you know what? Let me put a pin in that. Let's talk about Marisol and we'll get to the wedding celebration. We'll talk about Larsa first, and then we'll get into like the main reason why I'm annoyed with this episode. So let me put a pin in that, and let's talk about Marisol next. So then next in this episode, at the very beginning of the episode, we actually see that Marisol and Steve are finally getting legally married. And it's a cute, and they basically are just dressed in this nice, basic, kind of beach looking, airy outfits. And Steve is taking them to the courthouse, and then they're going to the chapel and they're gonna get married. It was giving that, like that kind of like 1950s kind of vibe, because they're taking the motorcycle. She's wearing a short little dress, and it's so cute. So basically, that's what they end up doing. She talks about, Marisol opens up about how Lisa's dad passed away to Steve, and that makes Marisol emotional herself because neither of her parents are with them anymore, and especially her mom. And we know her mom was like another cast member of the show, basically, during the original Real Housewives of Miami, before it got rebooted. So she's emotional about that. And then fast forward, we don't really see anything about her until the actual event itself. Now, Alexia did her big one, has all the ladies there, has Marisol's brother. We meet Marisol's brother, we meet Marisol's nephew. We meet her, we already met the stepkids before, which are Steve's children. And they all surprised her, and everyone that needed to be there was there. She was super happy. And we also but then Marisol shows up with like basically a patch on her eye. And it turns out she had a sty in her eye, and her sty must have been very obvious to the point where she couldn't hide it. And so she had a patch in the one eye, and everyone was just like, what does she have going on? And she was actually slightly underdressed compared to all the other women, because she didn't realize this was a surprise, right? So she really didn't know. And we also find out when she's talking to like her brother and some of her family that Steve literally reminds her of her dad. And he has the same raspy voice, and it's quite cute. And they actually show us side by side where Steve does kind of favor her dad a little bit. It's kind of cute. But the brother was like, you're not as mean as him, though. And so that part was cute. And then, of course, all the ladies sit down and then we get to the things. And we first talk about how things happened in Milan. And this is when Larsa's. Yeah. So Larsa's Larsaing by basically explaining what happened. And it turned out, we find out that Lisa and Larsa, towards the end of the trip, were actually starting to get along and starting to make up. And we also, side note, I actually watch What Happens Live afterwards. Well, not afterwards, because you already know I watched the Peacock version, but I watched What Happens Live yesterday. And I saw that Larsa, because she's such a passionate person, she doesn't explain herself well. The only thing that Larsa was mad about with Lisa is the fact that she never unfollowed him. And I agree with Larsa. According to Larsa, this is what she's saying now. She's like changing her story of why she was mad at him. Even though in the show, she was basically saying the whole entire time she was mad at that and the Jody part of it. But now she doesn't really care about the Jody part of it as much as more or less just the one thing, according to Larsa. Take that with you as you may. And so, basically, she explains that though they were good towards the end, but then Jody got really, really upset and kind of erratic, and tried to like separate them and let them not talk to each other. Basically, being very controlling. So she's basically saying that Jody's controlling. She doesn't trust Jody. All these things, and I will say this. I believe Larsa's correct with what she's saying about Jody. The problem is, though, that timing. The timing of this and the fact that Lisa's not there to defend anything, and you literally are talking about the one man in her life at this point that is supporting her because of what she's going through with her family. The timing ain't it. And so I think Alexi was like, I think this was kind of messed up that she would bring this up at Marisol's celebration. And then also the fact that Lisa is going through what she's going through right now, the timing. So that's probably going to blow up later on. So we thought we were done with Larsa versus Lisa, but Larsa doing what Larsa does is not done yet. The beef ain't cooked. It was resting on we took it out of the pan. It was resting, but we found out it was undercooked, and so she decided to put that back in the pan. So the beef ain't cooked yet. And so yeah, I will, but I hate to say this, so I do kind of agree with Larsa, though. Mainly because Lisa hasn't really learned her lesson. And her main lesson was to stop relying on men to move her future. She hasn't learned that. And that was literally what all the ladies were trying to tell her last season. And she was just fighting it. And she moved 1,000 miles per hour to get with Jody, but she doesn't know much about this man. And we also find out in this episode, because we see them leaving to go to the airport, all three of them, and Larsa's just observing and paying attention, which is why I think she's right, is that Jody's in all of her business ventures. He's copied in all her business stuff. And I find that very strange. She's basically defaulting and doing the same thing that she was doing with Lenny with Jody now. That's what I'm seeing. And that is a whole entire problem. She has not learned a thing. And Larsa was trying to stop that from being a thing. And also, if you're Jody and you have those traits where you want to basically kind of have some, if you're a little bit of an opportunist, I'm not saying Jody is, but if you have a little bit of that in you and you happen to be that type of person, or you happen to have similar characteristics as a Lenny, if you will, would you want a Larsa around her? A woman who actually who says independent F these men, live your life? The answer is no. You would not want that. You also wouldn't want someone that, like a Larsa, who took her ex-husband to the cleaners and got the bag. You wouldn't want that around. But Lisa, why I just still need to get on you a little bit with this is I just wish you would take those rose-colored glasses on and really listen to your good Judy Larsa, because even though Larsa's harsh and her timing's horrible, it's clear to me that Larsa cares. She cared about you. She was one of the only few that had your backside in all those last season. But she also wasn't, sugarcoating things, because she don't know how to do that. Larsa does not know how to sugarcoat anything. But she was trying to give you sound advice on how to become an independent woman and to basically stop this pattern that you have. And also, the fact that Larsa, and we haven't talked about it yet, we kind of brushed over it, I think, what she said initially. If I don't remember if we said it. But the fact that Larsa helped testify in your divorce proceedings to make sure you did not get screwed over all the way, I'm going to keep that friend around for life. I'm just saying, that's not a friend you just discard. Period. You said it when you were talking about your family. Men come and go, but your family's forever. I would also add Larsa to that just a little bit, because Larsa, even though her delivery is horrible and she is selfish when it comes to a lot of things, but it seems like when it came to you, she wasn't as selfish as she normally is. I think Larsa actually, if anything, to a certain degree, is a passionate person who just does not understand timing, emotional intelligence, and she's petty. Queen petty. Petty of petties. And I feel like Larsa, as well as people, you can't out petty. So, y'all probably didn't think you were going to get that out of me, that I was going to give Larsa some flowers this episode. But I did. Because I am starting to see it now. It took me a minute, but I'm like, yeah. And it's just her delivery's horrible. Similar to Gertie. Gertie is horrible delivery, but she be right. It's just Larsa gets grace, but Gertie doesn't. Let's get into why this is about to be a rant. So for those who don't want to hear the rant, you can just leave right here. But y'all already know I'm about to wear Julia out. Okay? Gertie, get back here. I got you. Okay? Yeah. Now, Kiki has basically added gas to the flames once before Gertie gets there, but of course Gertie gets there shortly after. And she's all like, hey, Gertie said this, that, and this, and that about what you said, Julia, basically being the bone carrier. And I'm so disappointed to see this. Kiki, you were supposed to have your Haitian sisters back, and you don't have her back. And why are we talking about Gertie as if she ain't gonna come there and speak for herself? She did not need a spokesperson that's you. Especially the way you did that. That was not good. You carried a bone, and you kind of got the party started just a little bit. Just a little bit. So I was kind of disappointed when I saw that. Because of course, as they're talking about it, Gertie shows up. She's like, hey. She's trying to say hi to everyone. And everyone, for the most part, is cool. And then Julia's doing this overly fake hi, kissy kiss thing. And doing her like little da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I see it too, and I don't like it. I don't like it. And just basically being extremely performative. And Gertie in her confessional's like, look at this chick being so performative, being so over the top. And they're trying to say, I'm the one who does all that. And it's like, no. So the difference is, Gertie's personality is over the top, performative sometimes. But it's like not annoying. To me, it's like, it can be. Let's be honest. It can be annoying. But I will say she really hasn't been that annoying since like I would say season 5. She was doing too much, but it wasn't to the point where it was like ridiculously too much. It was just a lot sometimes. But like they all are guilty of doing it. That's part of like the show. Like, this is literally Housewives Telemundo for me. I feel like it is that. Like everyone's over the top. Everyone's like, oh, Dos Mios, and like, and then you hear like people talking Haitian. It's just like a whole entire thing. But for Gertie, for whatever reason, it's a problem. And so I do agree with Gertie to that degree. And I feel like in this case, she was just trying to defend herself. And so as she does a fakery high thing back, Gertie kind of says a little bit of a side comment like, interesting. And of course, Julia caught that and realized that she's talking about her. It's like, well, yeah. And she basically was like, oh, this is like the friend I used to know. I did like that, Gertie. I'm going to use that again. That's like a friend I used to know. But actually, I would never use that because if I don't like you anymore, you don't exist in my world anymore. But I understand this is the show. You have to film. You have to talk to people. But in real life, when I don't want to engage with you anymore, you could just act like I don't exist. And I'm not going to be the type that blocks you or anything. I'm just going to just like go away and you'll never see me again. That's just how I give it up. A lot of people call it toxic and I call it, I know my boundaries and maybe you should learn yours too. I don't know. That's just me. But anyway, Julia then proceeds to go up and just be over the top. Like, oh my God, congratulations! Ah! Just doing all that. No one else is doing that. Everyone else is like, and she's doing all this extra performative stuff. And to the point where like, I was annoyed for Gertie and Gertie was annoyed because it was just like, oh my God, you are being, the fakery was just, it was like that. And so then Kiki tries to get them to talk. And immediately Julia's on 10. She's trying to go off on her, calling her a liar, this, that, and this, and that. And none of anything that Gertie said constituted that reaction. None of it. And also immediately, which triggered me, is that she immediately proceeds to put her hands in Gertie's face. She's been on the show long enough to know you don't do that unless you're ready to square up. And Gertie had so much self-control this whole entire this whole entire time, this episode. Only if I was her, I would have left. As soon as it started doing that, I would not even continue the engagement. I would have made her look stupid and just walked away. I wouldn't have even continued it. I would have just let her walk. I would have just walked away immediately. And this is why I'm getting on you, Kiki. You tried to say that Gertie should have just walked away after all that happened. You were the one who kept trying to pull her back into the conversation. This was kind of in a weird way you're doing a little bit. So Kiki, no. I don't even know why you said that, number one. Number two, I don't want to hear about what you say you would have did. We know that's not true because we saw you last season how you reacted with Lisa and her disrespect. This disrespect was literally just the same, if not worse, because throwing a drink at someone is assault. Okay? That's assault. So I want to hear about you saying that you're going to walk away afterwards, Kiki. Don't. I don't want to hear that. That's some BS. And even as this is going on, both Marisol and I believe it was Marisol and Larsa, both of them just like, I don't like what's happening here. No one was amused by this. No one thought this was okay. And Julia, you thought your friends were going to think what you did was cool. No one thought it was cool because it was clearly you were bullying her. You stand like when And then when basically Gertie was forced to come back to sit down and talk to you some more, you immediately stand up and stand over her. You're already taller than her to begin with, and you're about to fight someone who like just freshly is off a remission of cancer. And you get mad, like ridiculously mad, that Gertie pulled your card and called you out for what it really was. You are calling her selfish, self-absorbed, and all these things, and that's really you. When your wife is fighting her life for cancer, you're getting a facelift. When your wife has a cancer scare, you still go on the cruise and beg Gertie to go with you. I know Gertie ain't lying about that. I know for a fact she's not lying about that. Gertie would never just show up and go. Why would she go on another cruise immediately after she came off of a cruise? Unless she thought she was doing you a favor. I'm sorry, but there's nothing you can say here to make anything you did okay. And the fact that you threw a drink at her, that was the most insulting, horrible thing ever. And the fact that the other girls didn't really do anything at all, y'all just let her get bullied. Gertie called it properly. She was like, okay, her mean girl initiation is completed now. Now she's part of the club. I see why Gertie is a chip over her shoulder, because she was already dealing with this with when it was like her and Dr. Nicole were going through this together. And Julia, you were on the same side as them, but now you're not. Julia, I just wish, part of me wish that would have happened. Instead of Gertie, you would have had like another girl on the show that would put some hands on you, because you deserve that. As soon as you decide to assault her by throwing a drink at her, you deserve to get your hands, like, to get hit. You deserved retaliation. You deserve to slip a banana peel to me after that and just like and fall overseas. Like that. I'm pissed. I am so mad. Like, the fact that you find it okay to bully someone who just freshly fought cancer. She freshly fought cancer. And the audacity, the fact that you have a wife that literally did the same thing, but you have no sense of compassion. Oh, I know. You know what? I'm not even going to say it. But it don't look good. Just put it that way. It looks a certain way. And I don't even need to say it I don't need to say it. I don't need to say it. So that's how it ended. And Kiki, I'm so disappointed in you that you did not have Gertie's back. If anything, Gertie should and also too, Julia, I'm speaking directly to you. I know for a fact you would never did that if Adriana or Lisa were there. And you definitely wouldn't have did if Dr. Nicole was still on this show. You decided to pick on Gertie when she has no one to have her back. And Gertie, if I were you, I would be looking at Kiki slightly funny, because she didn't have your back at that moment. At all. I know it came off like they're trying to separate things and everything, but to me, they didn't do enough. They didn't do nearly enough. At all. At all. Once Julia did what she did, she should have been escorted out of there. And they should continue with the event. But that's not what happened. Anyway, bravo. I do not want to see Julia on this show ever again after this. I don't want to see her on this show anymore. I am so pissed. Like, the fact... I thought what Larsa did last season was messed up, but I guess the thing is, I expect this kind of behavior from Larsa to a certain degree, and I will give Larsa credit when it comes to her not keeping her hands to herself. You did that, and you couldn't even keep your hand. Like, that is the part that gets me. You literally assaulted this lady over your delusional of lies to basically make a storyline happen, because you don't have no damn storyline. No one cares about what's going on with you. You don't fit in with the rest of the cast. at all. Those women don't like you. They're using you to get rid of Gertie. And that's it. They don't like you. And part of me thinks the reason why they're just trying to get rid of Gertie because they just don't want Adriana on this show. I think the bigger play is they don't like Adriana on this show. So they're trying to get rid of anyone that are allies with Adriana. Because we already see certain people won't film with her, but there's others that still will film with her. And so to me, I think that's really what's going on. And I don't like that. They really need to stop that crap. This is not Survivor. I hope this direction of Housewives don't continue. And I really hope that someone steps to Julia after this because she deserves to get stepped to. And I hope y'all are killing her on social media because she deserves that. I'm sorry, once you put your hands on someone, it's off limits. And the fact that Gertie kept her composure, kept her self-control. Gertie really did nothing to provoke this lady. She had one little smart comment and that was it. She wasn't loud. She wasn't obnoxious. She wasn't doing none of that. And the fact that you couldn't use your words and you resorted to violence, F you. Anyway, I'm done with my rant. I already told you it was going to be a rant. 13 minutes long of a rant. But anyway, that does conclude my video for today. For Real Housewives of Miami. Overall, it was a good episode, but I am heated. And I'm going to need to do something to calm myself down because I am so annoyed. But anyway, let me know what you think about what happened. Say what you need to say in the comments. Please like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you get anything out of the content. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner. I will see you next time. Bye.